We have so many yummy things to dive into today, and I'm really looking forward to it. Everyone, just take a deep breath for a second, put your hand on your heart, and thank yourself for being here, for making this the space that you are attending to. Thank yourself for prioritizing your well being. Have compassion and reverence for the part of you that made it possible for you to choose this. All right, now open your eyes. It is huge. It is so big. Everyone says they don't have the time. What else are they doing? What else is there besides tuning our instrument? We are so married to the idea that the way it works is through the hard work. And the way it actually works is through the receiving and through the tuning and through the synchronicity and through being available to be a vessel and the resonance. And then you realize you click your heels like Dorothy and you're already home. So today I'm going to teach you the 4 parts of the meditation, and then we're going to do the meditation, but you're going to then understand sort of what are these 4 pieces. And we're also going to do a couple other things to experience. I like to give you something to feel. We're going to be using ice cubes. So at some point today, I'm going to ask you to go get an ice cube. We'll do that later, because if I have you go get the ice now, it might melt by the time we use it. Let's begin by reminding ourselves of what we did last week a little bit. So this is my sort of model for the mind. And this is the mind when it's clear and we can see through it. We talked about this last week. When we wake up in the morning, we wish this is how we felt. We wish that it was just this expanded view. And when people, I haven't had this experience yet, I'll keep you posted if I do, but when people talk about the feeling of euphoria that they feel when they do psilocybin, which I haven't yet experienced, but when they do it, the reason people love that feeling is because it increases your serotonin level. The good news is that I was part of a study, and just by meditating, I increased my serotonin level by 200%. So it's actually something you can be gifting yourself. We have an internal pharmacy, and we actually control it with our thoughts. But for those people who've done that, the reason they have this incredible feeling of joy is because when your serotonin goes up, it expands your third eye. So this part of your mind opens and that higher consciousness takes over the driver's seat, and your amygdala, this back of your brain, this reptilian part of our brain that's just wired into protection mode, which is all separation, all fear, it dissolves. It doesn't have the wheel anymore. And then everything looks like this because we can see clearer and we see everything as it is, which is a oneness. Isn't that amazing? So what we're all working on in one form or another is how to expand our third eye, how to expand our consciousness so that we can bring that Zen feeling into our life. And we're not ruled by this foggy cortisol machine, which is all coming from thousands of years of what was designed to protect you from a saber-tooth tiger. And now it's just somebody sent you an email and you feel all activated and your nervous system goes right back into it as if it's life or death. And we're just living in that, which actually is horrible for our cells. It's not good for our health. It's certainly not good for our mental health. And this is why people have been practicing meditation. And this is why we have now have so much data on meditation and how important it is. So this is the way we want to feel. We want to be able to see clearly. And what does it mean to see clearly? It means to see what's real, which is that we're swimming in a wide open field of potential. It's an escrow account that's already waiting for you. It's filled with everything, all of it, because God is infinite. And so every potential exists in this escrow account, all of it. It's magic. And it all is summoned to you when you're in receptive mode. It's as easy as it is. And it seems ridiculous, but anyone who's taken this path and practices this is a living example of it. So this is how we want to feel. But most of the time when we wake up, we don't see reality as it is. We see it through a lens of this soup. So we see it through cortisol. which means we're assigning separation to everything, which means we feel far apart from everything that we want because we feel far apart from who we really are with a capital S, which is the oneness. When people have that feeling on mushrooms, we were just talking about, or in a deep meditation, the reason they feel joy because they no longer feel separate from all that is. Because that feeling of separation, that ego, which is only separation, dissolves. And then they feel this connection to everything and everyone and every tree and every branch and every soul and God. And it's an unbelievable feeling. And there's nothing they want to do but just be in that feeling. They don't need anything else. They don't need a Range Rover in that moment. It doesn't even come close to that feeling. So when we get this going on in the mind, this is when we feel very separate. We feel like us. What does that mean? The wrong us. We feel like the somebody suit we've been holding on to. And it's not us, because that somebody suit keeps changing. It's a personality. It's not you. It keeps changing. It has things it thinks and feels. And if you think and feel something enough, it turns into a belief, which turns into an identity, which turns into what people say, oh, that's just who she is. Is it though? No. You're the essential soul inside of you. So this is the mic drop of Abraham. This idea of monotheism is not that there's one God over there separate from you. It's that it's all one. It's all oneness. That was the idea. That it's all this big one. It's all one. I don't know if you've looked at any of what they see in these Hubble telescopes, but everything is like a mirror image of itself. Do you know that the shape of honeycomb is the same exact image of the eye of a bee? It's an image of itself. It's all oneness. It's all energy. It's like trying to separate one wave in the ocean from another wave. You can't do it. It's one. The waves are connected and they're all of the ocean, which is what we all are swimming in. We're all connected to this life force and God and the divine. That's it. It's all one. So we want to get back to that feeling, as that's the best feeling on earth, is to feel like you're someone because you're some of the one. That is it. Once you're in that feeling, you feel whole. That's what holiness, the word holy comes from the feeling of whole, to be whole. Okay. So once we have that wholeness feeling, we don't feel the story so much. Who are we? We're small, we're this, we're limited. We just feel like a conduit for something much bigger than ourselves with a little s. We feel like we are here to be conducting just love and creativity and passion and conviction and expression, and it's gorgeous. And we love everything into life because we love everything, because everything is part of us and we're all part of it. So why would two leaves on the same tree fight each other? They're coming from the same source. Doesn't make any sense. So love is the most powerful place you can be because it's the place of the oneness. So the idea is we want to be available for that. So one of the things we talked about was practicing that meditation. If you can set your clock to do that 10-minute, 12-minute meditation and just listen to it, even if you wind up going unconscious for half of it, that's going to change your life. You got to put in the reps. Like, we can have these sessions just like if I was a trainer, but if you're not drinking the water and you're not getting your steps in, you're not going to feel good. It's not going to make a difference just because you hear me say it. It's something about the act of actually changing your physiology. You're upgrading your biology by meditating. You are having a biological upgrade. You are updating the software. Without that meditation, the software doesn't update. So we can talk about what a software update does. We can talk about how important that is. But until you go and update the software, you're not getting the benefit of it. So there's nothing that's going to happen because you listen to me tell you how interesting it is that things can exist for you. But when you actually go experience it, your life is going to change. And so sometimes people say to me, I went through your sessions and I don't know what to tell you, but I'm like, how did it go for you? Like, how's your focus? Where are you focused? How's your meditation practice? Are you up to 90 seconds a day? You have 3 minutes a day? And then they'll be really honest, like, I don't do it at all. I'm like, all right. So you're spending your day in what's the opposite of the receptive mode. And it continues to be a little bit staticky. We've got to choose out of that cortisol drip. Okay. So I want to go to the next piece, which is affirmations. Okay. So in the morning, you can baby step your way into this. We've talked about a 90-second meditation, choosing your thoughts the way you choose your clothes. Like today, I put on, just now I'm like showing you the whole vibe. I put on a different shirt at first, but it was like a little like coarse and the material was like heavy. And I was like, this isn't the vibe. So I took it off and I put this shirt on. I was like, this is how I want to feel. It's like feminine. So the same way that I selected this shirt, I then sit down here. Like right now I'm on the floor because I'm sitting on a meditation chair, which you guys could buy for yourself if you want. You don't need to buy any meditation chairs. You could just sit on the floor, but you can. If you're like me and you spend a lot of time on the floor meditating, you might start to hurt your hips and you might actually want to get one of these seats. So I'm not an affiliate or anything like that for these seats, but I'm so happy to show you the link. I'll post it in the group if you want to buy it. But I select my clothes and then I come down here and I open my heart so that when I show up for you, I have what to really give you. The only thing I can really give you is my energy. It doesn't even matter what I'm saying. All you're actually consuming is my vibration right now. And so when you go through your day, wouldn't it be amazing if you came with the most potent, powerful vibration? Think about how that would change the effectiveness of your day. Think about how that would open you up to different things and people saying, I just want to be around you. I just want to be near this. Because what it's doing is bringing them back to themselves with a capital S. It's bringing them back into the oneness. And then they feel at ease. And then their whole physiology starts to change. And it's amazing how your day is better and everyone who comes into contact with you has a better day because you sat down and opened your heart. Bob Marley was right. Just open your heart. It's amazing. It's incredible how that changes the world. We are so hell-bent on our destinies having to do with fame and followers. And it's like people in the blue zones don't have an Instagram account. They're changing the world. They know what their calling is. They don't care if they're famous. All of that comes from the wounding of the self that doesn't feel seen. If it just so happens that that's what gets chosen in your path and you are chosen to lead, which many of you might be, that's a different story. You just have to accept the assignment. But sometimes Moses wanted to stay in the desert for 85 years. He didn't even want that assignment. He was like, nah, I need your help. Certain people, you can just feel it like, whether you like it or not, you're good at this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this particular thing. So some of us, our job is to be visible so that on behalf of the collective, we help them come back into the oneness. And in some way or another, hopefully that's what people are doing it for. But some people are visible because they just deeply feel not seen. And then, of course, the more seen they feel, doesn't matter, right? They just feel smaller and smaller, even worse, because they thought that would actually do it. But that's all ego reflecting itself over and over and over again, which is just deep, deep, deep loneliness. So the point being, your purpose in life, just like the people in the blue zones who are happily without televisions and happily without knowing any of the Kardashians or anything else, their destiny is their vibration. Their destiny, their calling is loving people into life. They meditate every day. It's working for them. They're all living into their hundreds. They don't have chronic disease. It's amazing. They know what their purpose is, and it's impacting the ecosystem because it brings health and life to the earth that they work every day. They all work their earth. They all work the love inside of their own communities, and that ripples out. And hopefully it creates a wave for more and more and more of us to have that longevity and to lower that cortisol. We now study them, which helps us to understand cortisol and how that works with presence and meditation. So that is their calling. Thank goodness. We all have a different calling. And God knows when I go on these week-long meditation retreats and I'm quiet and I come out of there, I'm like, I am such a talker. Like, I just was made that way. We just have to accept ourselves. There's a scene in Chariots of Fire where the dad wants him to go with him on this like missionary trip. And he doesn't want to disappoint him, but he doesn't want to go. And then he finally says something so beautiful, which makes you cry. He says, if God wanted me to go with you and not run, why did he make me so fast? I'm so fast. And his dad goes, you're right. Go to the race. We have to just know who we are. I was born to talk. Whether my husband likes it or not, he's like, save it for work. It's so interesting. It works. Okay. So Let's do some affirmations. When you wake up, you're going to choose to feel good. So interesting how the brain finds that really disappointing. The brain's like, anything but that. Why? When I say choose to feel good, why is there pushback? Why is there pushback when I say that? Ego? Yeah. Yeah, it's the cortisol addiction. Your brain goes, that's like me telling you to get off sugar. And it's not a vibe. I don't like someone telling me I can't have sugar. It's hard. It's really hard. You should see my daughter had a birthday party. So there's like little bowls of Reese's and I walk by it every day and like, it's hard not to eat it. And I definitely eat my fair share. So when I say you're going to choose to feel good, your brain goes, she's going to take away my cortisol today. No, that's not going to happen. It's addicted to it. It's more addictive than nicotine. Look it up. Okay. So you are going to start to titrate. You're going to get more and more familiar with the part of you that goes into that increased serotonin. And you're going to start to find serotonin way more enjoyable than cortisol. And then you're going to say, oh, no way. Like the serotonin is way better. And it is. It's way better. It's like eventually when you start eating those like green smoothies and you start feeling that energy, you're like, forget it. I'm not going back to just eating unconsciously. I don't feel good. You have that like carb hangover when you eat too much of that stuff. After a while, you're like, nah, I'm not going to be a sucker. I really want to actually feel good. And I feel so much better when I don't eat dinner at 10:30 at night, or it's the same kind of thing. So you'll start to really, truly feel, not know, but you'll feel deeply. You know what? It's not just an intellectual thing. I know it in the feeling of it. I like memorizing my way back to where the serotonin is. It's just better and life is better. And that's going to be where you're headed. So once you do that 90-second meditation, here's a few affirmations that might be really good for you. And you might choose one of these or 10 of these, but here they are. Number 1, I am worthy of all the love, joy, and abundance the universe has to offer. Number 2, I'm a deliberate creator of my reality and I have the power to attract all that I desire. Number 3, I choose to focus on thoughts that feel good because they're aligned with what I desire. Number 4, I am in the process of allowing my dreams to manifest easily and effortlessly. Number 5, I trust that the universe is always working in my favor and guiding me towards my highest good. Number 6, I am already a vibrational match to everything that I want, and I'm allowing myself to experience it. Number 7, I'm grateful for this present moment and the opportunities it's bringing for expansion. Number 8, I am an attractor of such positive experience, and I attract people and situations that uplift me and inspire me. Number 9, I release the resistance and I trust in the divine. Number 10, I am in alignment with my true self and I receive the experiences that reflect my authentic desire. What I want you to know is you have and you will reach the end of your neuropathway. And here's what I want to explain about that. We manifest at the speed of safety. So you'll notice that you'll allow some good into your life. You'll allow something loving into your life. You'll allow yourself to have a good moment or a good day. And then you'll sabotage. You'll turn it off. Or you'll start putting your focus where it doesn't need to be. You'll start putting your nose in things that bring you down a little bit. That's what people do. Why do you think people do that? Why do you think you do that? Fear, the dip. It's cortisol addiction, protect ourselves. Yeah. So first of all, your ego doesn't want to die. And it dies so many times throughout your life because you need a new ego. It just keeps your ego, by the way, is your best friend because it is there as like your boxing coach. It is perfectly designed to try to unseat you so that you will overcome it. Okay. We all have a shadow side, and it's like this perfect teacher that shows us exactly where the shadow is that we need to overcome. But the brain and the body work together. The nervous system is plugged into the immune system. It all works together, obviously. And we have these neuropathways in our mind, and there is a certain familiarity with what we know to be our identity. And when we go beyond what feels like us, because we feel really joyful or really surrendered, we get nervous because we don't feel like ourselves and it doesn't feel familiar. And the ego likes what's familiar. It likes what's predictable. And in the familiarity is a certain amount of fear. Think about like the gas and the brakes. The soul just wants to hit the gas and the ego is like constantly hitting the brakes. Imagine you're like a kid learning, it's like your third or fourth week riding bikes and your friends, you're going down a hill. Now, before you have a sense of dominion over riding a bike, you hit the brakes a lot going down that hill. And then eventually you realize you can handle it a little more, and you learn how to take the hill. Next thing you know, a year later, you take a new friend on the hill, you're doing like wheelies, you know how to get around that hill. It's different. When you are beginning to experience more expansion, your ego hits the brakes a lot because it's like, whoa. Now, what that actually is in reality in your brain, if I showed you an fMRI of your brain scan, you've reached the end of the neural pathway. You literally don't yet have a cluster of neural pathways that are familiar with the experience you are now experiencing. And so you're learning to feel safe in what's unknown. And when something is unknown in the brain, the body says, this is not safe, but it is safe. The reason why in the affirmations, I said, I'm worthy of all the love. Okay. Part of the reason I put that as number one is because I want you to begin to have dominion over what's happening in your brain. Because by the way, your consciousness, they don't even know where it is, but it's not in the brain. It's beyond the brain. So you can change it. That's why the brain has this neuroplasticity. It responds to you. Okay. It's not hardwired, actually. It's soft wired. You can move the software. So the more you tell yourself, I am safe to receive this, you will receive more. You will build the new circuit of new neuropathways that allow you to function in a more expanded consciousness. So you want to constantly tell yourself, I am safe to be abundant. I'm safe to be happy. I'm safe to be free. I'm safe to be at ease. I'm safe to play. I'm safe. I'm worthy and safe. I'm worthy and safe. Because the self that you've gotten familiar with doesn't exist in this bigger, expansive realm. And it doesn't know itself like that. And then it doesn't feel familiar. And then it feels scared to receive and expand like that. So it's like the first time you get the next level opportunity and you're asked to speak with this thing, or you're asked, or somebody invites you to something, or you get some gift, or your life expands and you're able to purchase something new, or you're in love with someone who's even more, respectful. And you're like, oh my God, there's this feeling that comes up. It's almost like you bump up against, who am I to have this, or whatever that is. It's because there's literally not enough wiring there for you to know that you're safe now that you've expanded. It's like taking a plant that's outgrown its pot, and we have to move it to a bigger pot. And that's what you're doing. So that's an important piece of this, is to continue to make yourself feel safe in the expansion. So that's part of what we're doing. Now I'm going to go over the 4 parts of the meditation, and then we're going to do the meditation. Okay. So whenever I do a meditation with you, and everybody has their thing, like people use the word meditation and they mean such different things. It's like yoga. My husband means one thing, and then my friend does hot yoga, and someone else does power yoga. And he's like, what is that? And it's funny, like Deepak Chopra sees yoga as everything but the physical exercise. He's like, now people say yoga is like poses. He's like, they've never read the sutras. Like yoga is the mind. Yoga is the feeling. Yoga is expansion. You just think yoga is exercise. Okay. So we have a lot of words that don't all mean the same thing to all people. When I talk about God and people are like, I have that word, but God to me is like Godzilla. It's like a scary thing. It's a judging thing. It's like, it's just interesting. People have different words that are the same words, but they completely different meanings. So some people's meditation is like visualizing walking in a field, and some people's meditation is breathing and Wim Hof. I mean, it's all different things. For me, after, let's see, I started in 2001. So it's been, I'm really great at math, 23 years, something like that. in the time that I've done meditation and I've just had my own journey, eventually you sort of make up what works for you. It's like my grandmother used to cook that way. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. You just do what works for me. Right. So I would always say, but that's really annoying because I want you to teach it to me. And she's like, I don't really know. She used to say, I just eyeball it. I'm like, great. That's so helpful. She just eyeballs it. And she was like the best cook. She'd be like making these cinnamon tarts and making this stuff. I was like, how did you make it? She's like, I don't even know how I made it. Like, I just kind of know what I do and I feel it. I just feel it. I'm like, great, good for you. Good for you that you could just feel your way to it. So I, like everybody, kind of do what works for me. And so my meditation has 4 parts. And so I'm going to teach you those 4 parts and then we're going to do them. This is what I have found to be the most effective for me. So first of all, get present. Get out of your head, get present. Best way to do that is to feel your physical body here. Feel your sit bones. Do a body scan. Notice, is there tension in your neck? Is there tension in your back? Just do something to get yourself present here. And one of the fastest ways to the present moment is through the felt sense experience. And so presence is number 1, get present. The second thing that I always do once I'm physically feeling located in space is I connect with God. I connect with the divine because that's the only place I'm really wanting to go anyway. I want to be part of the one. I want to be someone because I'm some of the one. I want to be a masterpiece because I'm a piece of the master. So then I move into this part of me that's bigger than this body, the nobody, nowhere, no time, the soul. That's the second place that I go. The third thing is connecting with the escrow account, connecting with the vortex, connecting with my future reality. But why? Because my soul's been there already. That's why you want it, because you know it. When you miss something, you miss it because you've experienced it. That's why you want the things that you want. You've already experienced them. You know they're for you. You've tasted it. If you've never tasted chocolate and somebody brings it in, you're not craving it because you don't have the experience of it. There's nothing interesting about it. You don't know it. If there is something that you feel and you're called to it, remember your soul is beyond time, right? We've talked about time. We only experience time because of the rotation of the sun and the earth. But the majority of the universe is not located here geographically. And there's no time in most of the universe. It doesn't even exist. We're experiencing time differently because of where we are in space, right? But if we were to move to a different part of this universe, time would evaporate completely, which means that God doesn't experience time. There's no past, present, and future. It's just now. And everything's already done, which is a hard thing to wrap your mind around. But thankfully, Einstein gave us a way to understand that. So we go into the third part of the meditation is remember your future. Remember it. You've been there already. Really deeply remember it. And here's the really cool part about that is I always say to you when we go there, how does it feel? How does your future feel? How do you feel in your future? The you that you were destined to be. How does that feel? And then of course, you feel ease and you feel lightness of being and joy and you feel surrendered because you know that that is the you that you are always becoming. That is the wise version of yourself. And so we think about memorizing our way back to how that future thinks and feels, because that is the skeleton key to manifest, is to feel the wholeness and to feel the resonance of all that you already have created that's already here now. And then it starts to come into and materialize itself as you create the reception for it. And then the last thing in the meditation is I tell you, remind yourself of who you no longer want to be, because you have to be conscious of where you go unconscious. And so before we come out of the meditation, right before we're coming out, I'm like, hey, hold up, wait a minute. Who are you no longer going to be? And what thoughts are no longer going to feel like they serve you? And what feelings and beliefs don't fit with who you really are? Because those feelings and beliefs emit a frequency. And as long as you hang out in that, you're not manifesting because you're not in alignment. That is you out of alignment with your soul and your inner being. So the more you do the meditation, the more you'll start to do it and really live it. All right. So we are going to now do the meditation. I want to show you something, but I'll show it to you after. So I'm going to just read off these 4 parts right before we go into this again, and then you're going to watch as we do this. Number 1, be present. Number 2, connect with the divine. Number 3, connect with your future. Number 4, remind yourself of where you go unconscious. Okay, so we're going to now go through that process together. So close your eyes, put your hand on your belly so that you can feel as you breathe in, your belly expands. And as you breathe out, your belly flattens. Just feel yourself here, breathing. Just notice how the breath comes in through your nostrils. Your belly fills up, then hold it at the top. Hold it and let go. And you can try to just, in your mind, say, breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. And breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And now I want you to just feel any tension in your body, starting with the top of your head, going down into your neck, and just feel as though you're sending this like white, healing, golden light. And just scan that if there's anything you're holding that you no longer need to hold, then you can let that go and everything will be handled in divine order. Just scan. Notice if there's any tension and you're just sending love. You're just sending this healing, loving compassion. Your neck, your shoulder, and your back, your hips, your legs, all the way down through your feet. Now I want you to just notice your sit bones. Just notice which one you feel more, the right or the left, or the left or the right. There's no wrong answer. Just drop in now more fully. Just fully drop in so that your weight is evenly distributed and really let the earth hold you. And now I want you to say in your mind's eye, I want you to say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought's going to be. You are the witness of these thoughts. And without any judgment, just curiosity, I want you to notice, what's the mind doing? The mind is just like waves. It's like you are 10 feet down in the ocean, you are 20 feet down and looking up at the waves, and they're dancing, and they're moving, and they're reacting to the wind. And so are your thoughts. Maybe thinking about something from the past, something in the future. Just love it all. Just let it do what it does. And I want you to find your center. Find the part of you that is bigger than this body. Find your soul. Part of you that is beyond time. No body, nowhere, in no time. And part of you that's connected to the divine. Being loved into life by the creator of the universe. Sent here on a volunteer mission to bring more wholeness to the whole. Just feel how the divine love is just loving you into life and feel your heart open 10% more, 20% more. Just feel as it keeps expanding. So much love coming in, so much love that you have the power to give. And just bring some gratitude for sitting here, breathing, for getting to have this human experience. The people you love, the love you love to give, the love you get to receive, the grace, the synchronicity, nature, the gorgeous buffet of gifts that you never had to earn, that were just given. And from this place, I want you to see yourself in the future, your future self, your soul being who it was destined to be. Who did you come here to be? I want you to see that version of you. How does she walk? How does she feel? What experiences and opportunities is she dancing in? What are the things that she thinks? How does this energy look as it moves through her in the world? This ease, this loving kindness, this joy. How does it feel to remember are designed to feel. What experiences await you? Feel it. And as you feel it, you're just drawing it right to you. And now I want you to remember, who do you no longer want to be? What thoughts and beliefs no longer serve you? What do you no longer want to experience on repeat? And before we open our eyes, I want you to stay here for a moment. And let's ask God to show us today that this is truly the path. And that by feeling this ease and this joy and this goodness, we are bumping right into so many beautiful synchronicities that have always been waiting for us, hidden in plain sight. And we will see it today, letting us know. And so it is. You can open your eyes. How does that feel? You're going to start to memorize that. You're going to memorize it on a cellular level. Keep returning to it. I love what Lisa said. She said, I caught the cortisol popping in and I self-corrected. By the way, those are the most effective moments of your meditation. When you are in meditation, there will always be moments where your mind sort of grabs the steering wheel. What we now know from the science is that when you become conscious and you take the steering wheel back, that is the equivalent of you doing like a bicep curl. That's the moment where you actually get the effect of the meditation. So instead of being resistant or judgmental of those moments, just know that the moment where you notice that you went unconscious and you started to be worried or you started to be distracted and you noticed it and you bring your mind back and you bring the awareness back, that bringing the awareness back is literally the muscle that literally creates more tissue in the front of your neocortex. So that is important. That is actually a gift. That's actually you doing it right. Debbie said, when you say memorize, you mean you can get back to the peaceful feeling without meditating? Yeah. I mean that literally we create neuropathways. The more we practice something, we know how to get back to a certain state of consciousness. It's sort of like if you know somebody who is easily angered, like something happens and you know it's going to set them off because they've practiced it. They've memorized that. They've done it so many times that it's like a groove. It's well worn and they go right back into that feeling and their whole body activates the same way. And they go, I know this feeling. This is familiar. I've memorized this location. I know exactly how this signature, this electromagnetic signature of me, I know how this feels. I've memorized it. Same thing with this. The more you move out of the cortisol and you move into this feeling of flow and synchronicity and receptivity and ease, you memorize that. And then during your day, you can just move right back into that. You don't have to be meditating to move into it. In fact, the whole point of meditation is that you don't need to be meditating to feel good. The whole point of meditation is that it begins to create the neural pathways and create the cumulative effects so that you start to change the way you think and feel. And you can tell, like, if you know somebody who has a meditation practice, you feel it on them 8 hours after they've meditated. You feel it on them just in the way they're present in the room. It affects them, which is why they now know that when kids practice mindfulness, their executive function changes, their ability to be here, located here in this present moment and make different kinds of eye contact and hold space differently changes, which is what ultimately affects their education the most. It's that feeling of coming into this present moment is what allows them actually to do better in school. And meditation is, like somebody was saying, sometimes it's stressful or sometimes this, of course, because there is a familiarity to being in the reptilian brain. There's a familiarity to being in the spinning. There's a familiarity to constantly resisting. So let's finish with this. I know that we're going to go over by a few minutes, but I mentioned it. Can you guys go get an ice cube and a cup? Okay, so let's just do this one little exercise. So you have a cup. So I want you to take your piece of ice, and I'm holding mine over the cup just so it doesn't drip. into the floor. So it's dripping into the cup. So can you guys feel that? So now this is not a trick. I mean, it might be helpful as an exercise, but I'm not trying to trick you. So you're holding the ice, and I want you, as soon as it feels uncomfortable, just put it down. You can just put it down when it feels uncomfortable. What is it that felt uncomfortable? Like for me, it was like burning. It felt like it was like burning. It stings. It's ice. And, right. Burns. It stings. It's cold, stinging. Yeah. So now I want you to pick it up again. And this time we're going to hold it for a little bit longer. And I want you to just notice changing your consciousness around it by not resisting it. Just don't resist it. Just lean in. And I want you to just notice, have some awareness, like, what does this feel like? If you lean into it, the cold sort of has like all different feelings to it almost. It's like, it's really cold and it's kind of warm. It kind of pulses, it kind of moves. And I want you to tell yourself, I can be with this. This is obviously an exercise. You're not going to have to hold this for the next hour, but I just want you to try it. Lean into it and just tell yourself, I can be with this. I can be with this. Just notice if that changes it at all. I can be with this. And whenever it starts to just be like so uncomfortable, you can put it down. But the idea is not that you sit here for an hour and hold the ice. But I want you to notice that subtle, very subtle change. When we first pick it up, it immediately feels uncomfortable. It's almost instant. Second time you pick it up, it's still uncomfortable, but there's this way of being with it. You can tolerate it. And by being aware that you can tolerate it, it actually feels slightly different. And then you don't react to it, you just respond. So yeah, some of you did this in birth. I know class Lamaze and birthing prep. I actually didn't do it in that class, but I did it in a mindfulness class. And I know that they use it sometimes in a hypnobirth class or a Lamaze class. Same thing, right? When a woman is about to go into labor, it is really helpful if instead of going in without some capacity to tolerate it, if she goes in with this capacity to know that she's safe to lean into it and that she actually is okay and that she can actually turn toward the feeling, whatever the feeling is, and it changes her experience of it. So I say this because most of the time, the reason that we are avoiding stillness is because we're avoiding feeling. We don't want to feel. And it's because throughout our life, there's been anger, sadness, little T trauma, big T trauma. We've experienced all kinds of things and we've avoided feeling things. The truth is, though, that as John Kabat-Zinn would say, we can't stop the waves, but we can learn to surf. And when we turn toward, and they teach this to children in mindfulness classes, when they just help them name the feeling, turn toward it, name it. And they give them lots of words. Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it grief? Is it excitement? Is it anxiety? Just by leaning in, just by turning toward it, feeling actually gets smaller and the nervous system regulates more. And when you learn to be still and when you learn to stop running, you do find a lot of wholeness and there's a lot of beauty. And part of what happens is you burn through all the old stuff that's still sticking around that needed to be felt, which is why when people do breath work, sometimes there's tears that they cry. There's a way in which certain things need to be released because the body keeps the score. The body's holding it. And so the old self, the wounded self, the childlike self, doesn't know that it's capable of tolerating feeling it. So it just avoids it and avoids it and avoids it and avoids it. But it doesn't go anywhere. It actually gets stuck in the body. So much of this is like Marie Kondoing the closet. We have to clear out the closet first in order to organize the closet. And so as we continue to move into wholeness, there is some of this that starts to come up. It's like when you're getting over, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, but I know when people have smoked, at first getting over it, it's like they cough up a lot of stuff and then they start to get healthier. And that's actually the sign that they're getting healthier. So this exercise is to show you that if you're having a moment where you're feeling really anxious and you're just scrolling your phone and you really kind of want to put your phone down, but you're like, you can't stop. There's something you're avoiding feeling. If you're having a moment and you're not feeling good, there's a reason you're addicted to the cortisol in that moment. You're avoiding feeling something. When you can just turn toward it, even just a tiny bit, you can meet it half the way there and just name it. Like, you don't even have to know the why, but just to name it. What is this? Is this sadness trying to get my attention that's just been hanging around? Is this grief? Is this fear? Is this pain? Whatever that is, even a moment of that is going to start to clear the cache. We call it a cache in the browser, to clear the history. It's going to start to clear it. And you don't have to even know why sometimes, that you just feel like you need to cry it out. But that's going to move it through the body. Emotion is energy in motion. It's got to move. So some people are clearing it through breath work. Some people are clearing it through acupuncture, moving the energy, moving the energy. We got to get rid of the stuck energy so that we can feel, the feeling of wholeness, because that stuff that's stored in there, that's what's creating the thoughts that take you out of receptive mode. It's from an old, stuck pile of feelings that never got noticed, and they just want to be seen. They just need to be seen. And so by doing this ice cube exercise, we can be still. It's hard at first because the cortisol tells you don't be still. If you sit still, you'll have to feel, but you can feel it. And you don't have to feel it for 5 hours. Feel it and be with whatever is for 3 minutes and then get up and go. Titrate little moments of this is really loving yourself. It's really healing yourself. It's really taking care of yourself. And it'll also allow you to be in receptive mode a lot more. Like, whatever version of me you're seeing, and believe me, there's so much more of this journey, and it's really fascinating to watch my own experience, but so much of this experience has been the both and, sort of the clearing the cache and noticing when things come up and need to be moved and having the courage to feel and face it. And the other part of it is going up and out of that anyway, to the part of me that's no body, no time, nowhere, that is so much bigger than all of that anyway. And that both and is really what helps us to move into that truly joyful state.